Mold making is an essential skill for every single sculptor that I know, and I've been figuring it out on my own for the last 20 or 30 years, watching a video here, picking up a tip there, wondering what's in the background of there, how are they doing that? And that's kind of a bummer, and I believe in abundance and sharing, so I'm gonna show you every single thing that I know about making molds right now. Basically, this guy's too big to be a one-piece mold. He's just too massive. When I created the armature, I made it so that his head would split off. So if you look on the back, you can just see those two little bronze wires sticking out of there. We need to separate his head from his torso and then put his head on a different mold board so we can make a mold of his head and a mold of his torso, and those will be molds that the foundry can kind of manipulate. This is a critical moment. I peeled the wire out and now it's separate. Sometimes things work out perfectly, sometimes things work out less than perfectly. This time they worked out perfectly. For all of you out there who are making molds, specifically molds that are going to be cast in bronze, you don't want to ever create a tube without a flange when you're making a mold. So what does that mean? All bronzes are cast hollow, but if we make a mold of this top portion here, that will keep the edges of the wax when we pour it from distorting, because on the edges of a wax pour, the wax gets kind of weird. If when we're making the mold of this head, if we wrap the mold around the edge at least, an 1.5 inches, it creates a flange around this whole thing, which will keep this edge accurate and it won't distort. If you just made a mold to right here and left this open, then this edge is going to get wonky, which is a big bummer because we need this edge to stay perfectly matched to this edge. I think a 6-inch piece of PVC is going to be perfect. I just was trying to think about the best way to safely mount that pipe into that head. I think the best way is to carve out the styrofoam so I can stick it down in it. Now we need to make a little flange so we can screw this to a board so he's super duper, super duper, super duper secure. 3 super dupers. Specific measurement. Yes, super solid. It's great. So now we can make a mold of the torso and a mold of the head. We've separated the head from the body. I've checked everything to make sure it's all good. And now we just need to put the first coat of silicone on, which means we have to mix up the first bucket of silicone. It's a 2-part mix. It's a tin cure silicone for those who are interested. So we do 10 parts of catalyst for 100 parts of base. Okay, let's put on some silicone. Hot tip on brushing on silicone, always start at the bottom, because if you start up here and then you want to go down here, what was up here is going to be dripping down on you. Let's talk about what I'm doing with this mold. This is the first coat of silicone. So I want it to be real thin. I want it to capture all the details. See, I'm not brushing it on, I'm stippling it on. I'm kind of like jamming it into the cracks and stuff. And then when we're done putting it on, we're gonna blow out all the air bubbles with the air compressor. This is the first of probably 5 coats of silicone. By the time we're done, this silicone will be about 1/4 inch thick. And then after that, we will make what's called a mother mold, which is a rigid mold that helps the silicone retain its geometrical shape. The silicone captures all the detail, but it's pretty floppy. You may ask, why do we do so many coats of silicone? This is a process where we build it up thicker and thicker and thicker because it has to be a certain thickness, but we can't just slather it all on at once, because if we do that, we'll get lots of air bubbles and imperfections in the mold. We have to do it a little bit at a time. The trick with any mold is the demolding it part, right? It's easy to cover something up and get a good coating on it, but we gotta take this thing apart and put it back together and take it apart, put it back together over and over and over again, right? These 3 layers of silicone first here have captured the detail. But if I was just to peel this off, number one, it'd be hard because it's all trapped underneath here. It's like a glove with a narrow wrist that's not flexible enough to pull past my thumb. But then on top of that, this silicone's floppy and it doesn't hold its shape at all. We have to be able to make a plaster mother mold that will help the silicone hold its shape. And then we have to be able to get each piece off. These are called seams, and they make it so that at the end, I can cut this seam in half and have a multiple part mold. I basically pour the same silicone that we use for the head into these molds. And today, we're basically gonna make this silicone like cake batter, and we're gonna glue these on. Before we put the seams on here, we gotta figure out where we're gonna put the seams, and in order to do that, we have to have an understanding of draft. What is draft? I just made this beautiful ball out of clay. Let's imagine it's perfect. If I were to draw a perfect center line around this ball, and then cover this side with plaster and cover this side with plaster, they'd be able to come apart perfectly because this ball has draft, right? It has a perfect center. There's no undercuts that are gonna catch. But let's just say, for example, I drew a line all the way around here and I tried to make a little mold of this piece and a bigger mold of this piece. It's gonna grab. I'm not gonna be able to pull this half off because it doesn't have draft. So we need to take this principle of not making any undercuts, and apply it to this kind of weirdly shaped object. Heads are kind of like a big ball with some weirdness. First thing, ears. This is an undercut. I can't pull a mold out here because it's catching. The best way to see draft, to see whether or not an object is going to be able to pull off, is to get a look at it directly from where you want to pull it off. I cannot see this piece of space right here between the cheek and the ear. And so that's gonna grab. Same is true over here. So if we made a plaster mold on top of the silicone and we try to pull it off, it's gonna get caught. So now we have to do one of two things. Either we have to fill this whole area right here, or we're gonna have to separate this chunk into pieces that can be taken off. So now look, if we move here, and if we start thinking about making a mold here, we can pull, oh, I can see all of this, right? And so we can pull all of that off. We're gonna draw this line, this first line, right down the center of the nose. And this is just a line for reference. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just reminding me of the things I've already thought of. When we put this seam right here, the plaster is gonna bolt through it. And so that's gonna hold this whole piece of silicone tight to the plaster mold. It's just gonna give us a better casting. You know, mold making is kind of like an old world recipe. You know, everyone's got their own variation that they think is right because it's hard and there's a lot of ways to screw it up. And so people figure out their own way not to screw it up as they go. So this is just the best way I've found to do it. The way that I've made molds for the last 10 years, 15 years maybe. And it's good enough for me. Think about the bow tie from the sculptural perspective. It's kind of got like 3 sides. It's got this top, this side here, 4 sides, this side here, the underside, and then the top side. And the detail wraps around. So if I was gonna like try to pull a single part off of there, it would be grabbing, and I couldn't do it. But by splitting it down the middle, now we're gonna have this piece that'll pull off this way, and this piece that'll pull off this way, and neither one of them will bind up. Okay, silicone is done. We've got 5 coats of silicone on the Sly James bust. So today, we need to make the mother mold. So the first thing we have to do is kind of clean up all this silicone mess. Silicone's really messy, so we just gotta clean it up, make some sharp edges and stuff. Then we gotta cut some fiberglass mat. Then we gotta mix up some of the new material we're gonna try, and then we gotta brush it all on. Let's get to it. You know, we want the silicone to nest nicely into the mother mold, but we don't want it to get caught anywhere. We don't want it to be hard for it to nest in there, right? So anything sticking out, any little, little boogers hanging off, I just am trimming those. I want this to be nice and clean so that it sits well in the mold. Now we've got this guy mostly cleaned up, ready for plaster, except we're gonna make a mother mold of each section here. This is gonna be a 4-part mother mold. And those sections are gonna meet up here. And we've gotta create a way in the middle of the seam so that those sections don't get stuck together, right? Because plaster is gonna wanna stick to itself. So in order to do that, we're gonna build shim walls. In the past, what I would do is I would take this thin gauge aluminum, it's roof flashing, and I would cut it into little shims. And then we would take these shims and we would stick them in here, and they would create that dividing line between the mother mold portions. But I saw someone else online doing it a different way, and I wanna try that because I'm always looking, I'm always learning. I'm always trying to make things better / easier. Typically when things are better, they're easier. And so I saw a guy who's using playing cards, and we're gonna try that today. So that's gonna be fun. Why playing cards, right? As opposed to say index cards or some other thin piece of cardboard. It's the coating. So these are like plastic coated. So if I'd used index cards, the plaster would have soaked through that and just basically welded it together. Oh, I love it when an idea works. Thank you to whoever it was I saw online sometime in the last year doing this. So now we can brush plaster and fiberglass in each one of these sections and they won't stick to each other, which is the goal. So now we need to coat a whole bunch of fiberglass. This is fiberglass mat that we use to reinforce the plaster, but it's not just any fiberglass mat, it's actually really special because the binder holding all of these pieces of fiberglass together is water soluble as opposed to normal fiberglass mat, which is styrene soluble. And when we dip this into the plaster, instead of being a sheet of fiberglass that's hard to manipulate, it becomes a million individual fibers, which are very easy to manipulate. But we need a whole bunch of it. Historically, I have used the fiberglass mesh with UltraCal 30, which is an alpha plaster, a super hard plaster. I wanted to try something different this time because this mold's kind of big and I wanted it to be lighter weight. Plaster is awesome, but it's kind of heavy. So, as a test, I got some of this, which is Duo Matrix. It's a smooth-on product, and it's an acrylic modified gypsum. It's a plaster with acrylic modifiers that makes it stronger so that when I put the fiberglass in it, we can have a real thin layer of this stuff and it'll be as strong as something in plaster that's twice as thick, right? See, I'm a big strong boy and I can't break that, and it's a quarter inch thick or less. So we're gonna try this, and I think based on my test, it's gonna be awesome. It's a little more expensive than plaster, but I think it might be worth it. Now, the rubber hits the road. The first thing we have to do is make sure we get a really good coat on the silicone. But here's what you'll notice, watch this. When I brush this plaster on, the silicone wants to resist it. See how it's spreading apart right there? Right? When I'll brush a little more on. I can't put enough of this on so that it either will drip off or not resist. So the trick there is we take a super thin layer of this fiberglass and we use that to help the plaster get a full base coat. And so right now we're just trying to get basically a coat on here that will capture the detail of the mold and allow us to put our next coat on thicker. If we were using normal fiberglass mat, just the stuff you can buy anywhere, it would not be working like this. The thing that makes this process possible with this plaster is the fact that this mat is water soluble. And that was really frustrating to me at first when I started figuring out this process, that most fiberglass mat, in fact, almost all fiberglass mat is not water soluble. There's sculptors out there who are trying to figure this out. That's just a key thing that you need to know. Water soluble mat. Now that I have this partially cured layer of plaster and fiberglass, I can put up a much thicker piece, which is gonna help us build the thickness that we need. So now we're just splitting these guys in half and doing the same thing. I'm just finishing up the second coat on this piece. We've done the first coat on the other 3 pieces. For the next, I don't know, 4 hours, I'm gonna be doing this. Cue the time lapse. After a marathon session yesterday of making a mother mold, the mother mold is done on both pieces. And so now it's time to clean it all up, get it ready. So basically what we have to do is we have to drill some holes for mounting bolts so that this can be bolted back together. I should show you this. This is a pretty cool little drill bit. So we're drilling through a plaster material and then also silicone. The silicone doesn't like to be drilled through, right? It wants to close around the hole. And so this drill bit is actually like a drill saw. So it's got a little drill portion on the front, and then these are basically just cutting teeth. So as it goes through the silicone hole, it kind of wallers it out a little bit and makes an actual hole. It's pretty cool. You know, when we put this together, it was just fiberglass and liquid. Well, now it's fiberglass and a solid, and that makes for sharp little edges. So all of this, like ready to like, you know, right? Oh, wow. So we got to be careful of that. And that's why we're trimming it and stuff. I don't want to send this mold off to somebody who's going to get a whole bunch of splinters. It's not very cool. And the #1 rule is, if we can all be cool, then we can all be cool. It's when one of us isn't cool that we have to stop being cool. The trick when you're demolding a mold, and you can learn this the hard way, or you can learn this the easy way. I learned it the hard way. You want to go slow and steady. Yes, you're probably strong enough to just rip it apart, but then you'll likely break it, right? So we want to just kind of encourage it to separate a little bit at a time. Piece #1. Voila. So then, kind of like any puzzle, once you have one piece gone, the rest of it goes pretty quick. So now we got all 4 pieces off. We can get rid of all these cards. Thank you for your service cards. Really worked really, 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 really well. You'll notice that this piece is lightweight, which is awesome. It's really an important goal of mother molds. Your friends at the foundry will thank you if you can make light mother molds. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut this mold into 2 pieces. I'm gonna try to cut all the way through with this mold knife, but if I don't cut all the way through, that's okay, I'll just finish it at the end. If you remember, I made this original cut so we could put the cards in there. I'm gonna follow that cut. The trouble with this knife, using this knife, is that you're putting a ton of pressure on it. And so what I was just thinking about this, and I wanna share it with you. I'm never putting my hand in front of it, because I'm putting so much pressure on it that one slip, and that's how I cut myself the last time I was doing something like this, which then you're using all of your force to drive a sharp implement into your flesh, which is always a bad idea. So really the only risk here is cutting off a section of the mold, right? When you're sticking this X-Acto knife down in there, you want to separate the seam. You don't want to cut a chunk off of the seam. So that's, you know, the reason I'm going slow is just to make sure what I'm cutting is what I mean to be cutting. See, now there's only this little bit of silicone connecting, but I don't want to cut this off back here because that's part of my mold, right? So I just want to split that little bit right there. And so see, you can see now, like, it holds its shape pretty well, right? I mean, that is the shape, but it's floppy, right? So that's why we have the mother mold. There's all sorts of clay in here and stuff because the clay sticks. And so I'm just gonna try to loosen up some of it. At the foundry, they will pour a waste wax first. So they'll put it all together, they'll pour a wax into it to kind of get all this crap out of there. So now we gotta lay this guy in here. See how it's called a mother mold, because it's very supportive. I mean, it's almost holding its shape just like that. This is actually the trickiest part of the mold assembly, because if you remember, you know, there was a seam in here, but we didn't cut it apart, right? We didn't cut this into quarters. We just used that seam for the mother mold. Well, now I have to get this aligned with this, and you know, there's a bit of flex. I want to get it lined up perfectly so that when they pour a wax in here, for the most part, this seam disappears. We're just gonna look in here. Oh, that's cool. See that seam down there? And then when I go, boom, it disappears. That's awesome. That's a mold well made. Gotta find someone to make my molds before I turn 90. Everyone was asking how I make molds, and now we have gone through the whole process, right? So first we cut the head off, then we mounted it to a board, then we covered it with silicone, 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 added some seams, covered the whole thing with plaster and fiberglass, cut the thing whole apart, pulled it apart, put it back together, and here it is. And so now we have a finished mold ready to go to the foundry. And what are they gonna do at the foundry? At the foundry, they're gonna fill that thing full of wax, 1/4 inch thick, take the mold apart, cover that wax in ceramic shell, and cast the whole thing in bronze. And we're gonna take you on that journey too over the next few months. So stick around. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to hear that in the comments. Have a great day.